Good morning, happy Labor Day, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Fantasy Life, Reed Phillips, Scott, Taylor, Rick, Brad, Brian, thank you for being in here. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for joining us on Labor Day, kind of everybody's day off, a national holiday. Let's see how we did on Friday before we bring in the stars of the show. Okay, this is what I like to see. We had a couple of losing days last week, but this one is pretty solid, 7-2. I go 2-0. Chip Patterson goes 3 out of 4. Gotta love that. Buckets 1 for 2 and almost got the second one there. And the sniper rebounds Padres money line plus 105. We'll take 7-2 literally every single time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 3 days away from NFL season. We have so much content coming your way, and we're going to share some of our content, our schedule coming up for the football season, which frankly won't be fully complete because there's even more coming your way. But stay tuned for that teaser. We got a lot of NFL, college football shows you're going to want to know weekly here. All right, let's bring in the stars of the show. We got Mike McClure. He's back on the morning show. He was back with us last week, of course, too, but not on the morning show. We got Mike. We got the newest Ohio State super fan Buckets. Mike, I got to compliment you right off the bat because there were some people on Florida. There were some people on Miami. There was, good cappers on both sides, I suppose, but you were really big on Miami. In fact, if I recall, it was a multi-unit play for you, which you don't just throw that out there often. So first of all, congratulations on that pick to start off the season. And second of all, I do want to know, we now have like a week under our belt. Anything that surprised you, anything that's maybe worthy of a future consideration based on the small sample size we have so far?
Yeah, definitely loved Miami. Been talking them up all offseason. And it's really just what they've done in the transfer portal. You know, having Cam Ward, Damian Martinez, and just the depth in that backfield is in general. That team is just absolutely loaded. The schedule was friendly and just really down on Florida. So I like Miami a lot going forward still. I think other interesting things when you look across college football, some of these matchups, it's easy to overreact whenever you have such a discrepancy in talent. You talk about a team like Oregon, right? Playing FCS Idaho, that they were a 48.5-point favorite. They won the game 24-14. And they were in a tight battle in the fourth quarter in that game. So it's really easy to overreact to certain situations like that. But you saw it. I want to point back to what we saw before that. We saw Hawaii in week 0 not cover a big spread like that. And it simply, to me, seemed like they just didn't want to put a lot on paper ahead of the UCLA matchup. Played a very competitive game, easily covered that spread against UCLA. So don't overreact to performances by elite teams against different levels of competition would be something that I would really, really harp on here because it's a long season and there is a lot of value in not showing your hand if you don't have to.
That's a really good call. We don't know everything after one game, but we tend to think we do. So especially in college football with those talent gaps and the ability to maybe close off your playbook a little bit, that makes a lot of sense, especially for some of those elite teams like Oregon. All right, Buckets, I got to ask you because before the show started, it sounded to me, and we'll get to your soccer picks in a second, it sounded to me like you had somewhat of a cooking exhibition or incident. And I was like, you know what, Buckets, just save it for the show. Let's tell everybody what happened with the cooking excursion.
Well, now that I've set you up for that, Sia, I actually want to tell you about something different because as you mentioned, the Ohio State superfan, I want to tell you real quick about my first experience going to a bar here in Columbus and actually watching the Ohio State game. I did move to Columbus. I've decided the Buckeyes are my team. I went to a bar. Everyone's wearing scarlet and gray. They're all happy. Everyone's drunk by 1 p.m. or whatever it is. And I went up to the bartender and I said, "Excuse me, miss, can we change that TV to the Villarreal match happening in La Liga? Just have one game showing soccer." I have never seen such an angry woman in my life. I learned very quickly that in Columbus bars, you don't ask to watch anything but the Ohio State Buckeyes. So a good learning experience for everyone out there that might be new to college sports like I am.
Mike McClure, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got an actual interesting reality TV show featuring Buckets here. I'm going to basically try and get you to move. We're going to look at the odds board every preseason, and you're going to pick one of the top 3 teams. You have to move to that city for the season, and you become a fan. Just like you picked Ohio State, just how convenient you picked one of the best teams. I would love to see you just pick a team, whether it's top 3 or maybe just completely at random. You must live in that city for the sport. I think it'd be a heck of a reality series with you.
I love it. I'm all for it.
It's a great idea. There's so many reality TV surprises and shows we can pitch on behalf of Buckets. Let's see. Rick, you say, hey, no sniper or AMAGs with baseball today. Hey, it's a good question. Normally they're on here. I'll say this. I have a couple of baseball plays later on in the show. I have one 4 out of 5 for whatever that's worth. It hasn't been the best MLB season, but sniper and AMAGs, they're all over SportsLine. So just keep that in mind. It's a weird day with Labor Day and things of that nature. So Rick, they'll be with you later on this week for sure. But let's start Buckets with some soccer. You got 2 plays on the pitch. What are they?
See, it's tough for everyone because now that we've finally got European soccer back for about 2 or 3 weeks, they're going on their first international break, which means no major soccer leagues, no EPL, no Bundesliga, no La Liga for the next 2 weeks. And for most people, that means nothing happens now. There's no wagers until September 14th. But we all know that's not how I operate. And I can find us bets in any single league possible. So let's do just that, starting with Brazil's Serie B, taking place at 6:30 this evening as Sports Recife will take on Ituano. And this is a very weird match because Ituano are the heavy underdogs here. Sports Recife is a minus 200, which is weird considering they haven't scored in their last 3 games, and which is even weirder considering they struggle massively whenever they play Ituano. If you look at the head-to-head history over the last 2 years, Ituano beat them 1-0 at home, 2-0 on the road, 1-1 draw at home, and beat them 4-1 at home. Ituano have scored in all 4 of their last outings against Recife. I'm not even taking both teams to score here because I don't want to risk it. All I want to do is take Ituano to score, which is also Ituano over 0.5 team total at minus 125. It can end 1-0, and we're happy. It can end 7-1, and we're happy. All we need is that 1 goal from the team that historically has dominated this matchup. Then, after that, we're going to the Romanian Superliga and a matchup with Sia. I know teams that you were going to just love having to pronounce them at the end of the show. We've got Universitatea Cluj taking on Dinamo Bucuresti. The second one's a little bit easy here, but both teams to score at plus 110. You know how much I love the both teams to score wager. You know I love it just a little bit more when it's plus 110. And again, when you're looking at these 2 sides, we have 2 of the most attack-heavy units in all of Romania. Cluj have scored 7 goals in their opening 7 matches. Meanwhile, Dinamo Bucuresti have scored 16 in their open 7 matches. These are 2 of the greatest attacks. And last time they played in the reverse fixture, we saw a 3-3 draw. I don't need a 3-3 draw. I just need 1 goal from either side here at plus 110. Sia at 2:30 this afternoon.
All right. I mean, listen, I told you that I'm teasing the schedule for, the end of the show, the NFL schedule, but sometimes when I have to pronounce these soccer teams, it's a complete and utter disaster, which, was funny, Buckets, that you put me in this position because especially with my legal background, like I pride myself on being able to like pronounce things properly and that kind of thing. And you always put me in a spot, but I got to be honest, Buckets, I think I've got this one. It's Cluj and Dinamo Bucuresti, right?
It's that first word in front of Cluj that's hard that I didn't need to say. The problem is there's 2 Clujes in Romania, so it's the differentiating one. I will say this morning, every time I have a tough team to pronounce, I go to the mirror and I just practice over and over again, trying to say that Universitatea, whatever side, whatever phrase was in there, it made Freya think I was telling her to sit. So over and over again, she'd walk up and sit and look at me, and then she'd run back off. And I'd say Universitatea, and she'd come back over and sit real quick. And I'm like, she was distracting me. The mirror's distracting me, but just say Cluj. It makes it easier.
Hey, we actually do practice in the mirror, folks. If you want to take any of Bucket's bets or the bets you're about to hear, and Brian Smith, you're on a couple of games that we're going to talk about in a little bit. We've got Diamondbacks, Dodgers. Brian Smith likes the over there, and he likes Florida State minus 16.5. There's a play on that game coming your way soon as well. If you want to make any of these plays, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot coming up in baseball and a little bit in football, and it's coming up right after this message from our partners.
Yeah, they're wrapping up the summer. And now we're looking forward to kicking it with superstars. Now that's CBS Sports Sunday. We'll see you on September 8th.
All right, John's in here among so many others saying it's really good to have the GOAT M2 back in here, M squared back in here. Mike, I don't know if you're looking at the chat. There must have been like 15 comments in a row, like, welcome back, Mike. That's got to make you feel pretty good, right?
Feeling good. Happy to be back. Loving college football, NFL. It's just a beautiful time of the year. So yeah, a lot going on, but happy to be back and ready to dive into all these games. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. That sounds good. Oh, I'm going to dive into a couple of baseball games. I got 2 baseball picks. Hopefully you like them. Like I said, hasn't been the best baseball season for me, but I have caught a little bit of heat over the last week or two going. I believe it would be 5-1-1 over my last 7, or that might be 4-1-1 over my last 6, actually. 4-1-1. So I've got 2 here, and I actually like both of them. One's got some juice to it. I'll start there with the Dodgers minus 140. This is a first 5, or actually minus 141. I got Flaherty on the mound against Rodriguez. Listen, I understand the Diamondbacks are swinging some really hot bats, particularly against righties, but I do think Flaherty is a very quality pitcher, and Eduardo Rodriguez on the other side, he's had some inferior competition. Now he gets to face, or has to face, the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers bounce back. They had a terrible loss yesterday. I believe it was their worst loss of the season. I like this pitching matchup, and I like that the fact that the Arizona Diamondbacks stock is high enough for us to get some value here on Flaherty first 5. My next one, I'm going to Brian Bayo. We're going right back to the first 5 department. I wanted to take this plus a half at like minus 140, minus 145, but I didn't want to give you another one that was super juiced here. So we're going with the Braves I'm sorry. This is the Red Sox. I might have put this in wrong. This is the Red Sox. I'm going with Brian Bayo, Red Sox first 5. Money line at plus 100. We got Bayo versus Severino, Mets versus Red Sox. Red Sox on the road here. I like how Brian Bayo is pitching. Severino's been pretty good as well. Both these guys got touched up by, of course, Arizona in their last couple of starts here. But the long and short of it is I think Bayo's been pitching better. He's inducing more ground balls. I like what he's done in July in particular and in August. Severino, I think he's due for some regression and has been way more inconsistent than Bayo. So on the road, give me the Red Sox first 5 money line, and then give me on the road the Dodgers first 5 money line, plus 100 and minus 140. All right, Mike. Those are my 2 plays. Now, there's a huge college football game. I'm sure most people were watching college football all weekend. Last night, there was a great game. USC ended up pulling out the win against LSU. I had a live bet on USC in that one, so I was pretty happy about that. I thought I was going to lose it. You've got to play on tonight's big game. What is it?
Yeah, we're going to go Florida State, Boston College. I know a lot of you know that I like to play first quarter, first half markets in college football, especially early in the season. It is not a total today, though. We're going to back Florida State on the first quarter spread. Full disclosure, I did play this at 3.5 last night myself, shared it on Twitter there. Still like it at 4.5. You're going to see wide ranges in the market, though. This thing is up to 6.5 in a few spots. Mostly similar to 4.5 as you typically are. You're going to need a touchdown to cover 4.5, most likely. It is possible you get there with 2 field goals, but do get the 4.5s if you can find them over the 6.5 here. The reason for it is we have seen Florida State want to run 2-point conversions, things like that. So I do still strongly prefer the 4.5. But as far as the game here, the good news with the expanded playoff this season, Florida State is not dead yet. 1 loss, not a big deal. 2 losses would be it'd be the end of everything for them this year. But 1 loss, not a big deal overall. When you look at this matchup, Boston College is a team that I think is one of the worst teams in college football defensively. When you look back to last season, while it's certainly possible they take a step forward, this team was rating basically about 115th to 120th in every defensive metric we care about. For some perspective there are only 134 Division I football teams. So essentially at the bottom when it comes to defense. But what I like about Florida State here, it's obviously a big environment for them. It's a primetime game. They're going to have scripted drives out of the locker room, and I think they're going to have success here. I think that they've got the additional rest from the travel from week 1. And I really just think that they find the right footing early in this game. So I don't love the 17.5 or 16.5 for the full game. My computer makes the number 20.5, essentially 21. But I feel very good about them having an opening quarter where they've got those 10 to 15 plays scripted out of the locker room. And it's really just the defensive side here. I think they're able to shut down this Boston College offense. So give me Florida State first quarter. Yes, I know we're going to get a lot of questions. Would I play it at minus 6.5? I would, but I do strongly prefer the 2 4.5s that are still available in the market.
Absolutely. All right. 2 4.5 still available in the market, but he would play it at 6.5 if that's the only number that you got. Blue Cat 59 says, He said at the time there was 230 watching and only 42 likes. Listen, I know it's Labor Day, and I'm looking now. We've got almost 300 watching, and I believe I got to call this out because I do want you all to hit the like button. Barely over 50 watching. We got a 6-to-1 ratio. Let's try to do better, everyone. I know once we get really kind of going in football season, we're going to have even more people watching, and it's really important for me and for us, for you all to hit the like button. Buckets, go ahead.
I got a quick question for M Squared here. You made that statement about me going to different cities and seeing how their teams do. We're seeing a lot of responses to that. Jeff Steinberg said, Buckets in the Grove. Good call, M2. What does that mean?
Buckets in the Grove. Well, I'm going to be actually in the Grove in a few weeks, so I will send you some photos, some videos, but that is going to be one Oxford, Mississippi. It's going to be Ole Miss.
Okay.
And there is a saying that Ole Miss never loses a party. So
I don't hate that.
I think that Buckets in the Grove would be an interesting thing. You would probably last about an hour. But yeah, it would be Buckets in the Grove would be fantastic content.
Oh, I need to see you ask somebody to change to a soccer game at a bar at Ole Miss. That would be unbelievable. Before I forget, Scott Y, your daughter's birthday is today. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Maile. Buckets. Is that male? Molly? How do you pronounce it?
Maile.
Yeah.
It's Malay.
Malay, that's right. I bet you that's Buckets. What is happening here? I don't know how you do it. I'm guaranteed. Okay, Malay, happy birthday to you. Buckets, thanks for all that. Let's take a look at Buckets. Did you have something before I bring up the
no, that was just like I got you salute.
A salute on Labor Day. All right, let's take a look at the NFL schedule here. Okay, we can take a look at the recap screen first. Dodgers first 5 money line, and a correction on mine. The second play, it was not the Braves. It was the Red Sox first 5 money line. So my 2 plays, Dodgers first 5 money line. That one's at 410. And I believe the Red Sox first 5 money line, that's even money. I believe that one's at around 7 o'clock. Buckets. Here we go. Ituano FC to score, minus 125. And U Cluj, Dynamo Bucuresti, both teams to score, plus 110. What does the U stand for, Buckets?
Don't do this to me. I thought we were friends again. It's university, but in Romanian.
Universidad, or that's probably Latin. I don't know. Okay. Florida State first quarter, minus 4.5. That's the one from Mike McClure. That's at minus 105. Of course, that's a big college football game tonight. Florida State, Boston College. A lot of happy birthdays for what is it, Buckets? Melee? Mila? Mila? I'm screwing it up again already. All right, listen, let's take a look at the NFL schedule before we get out of here on the early edge. Listen, we're going to be adding to this, particularly with respect to the network shows. But again, take a look in particular at Monday. Okay, we've got the NFL pregame show for Monday Night Football. Wednesday, we've got the college football preview at 2 p.m. Of course, there's more on this for those of you that are listening, but I want to point out some of the new stuff that's specific to football season. And then, of course, Thursday, we've got the early edge NFL preview at 2 o'clock, and then the NFL pregame show at 7:15 for Thursday Night Football. And then Friday, it's back, the NFL prop show at 5 p.m. You know who's going to be doing that one. That's going to be a great show. And then Sunday Night Football, we got our NFL pregame show at 7:15 there as well. So a lot going on with respect to NFL, with respect to college football and preview shows. May Lee, says Scott. May Lee's father chiming in. Okay, May Lee, happy birthday. I apologize for messing up the name there, but a big happy birthday to May Lee. And everybody, thank you for joining us. Listen, I know it's Labor Day. I know you're on vacation, but I really appreciate you being in here on behalf of M Squared. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned the number 3. We're DeMar Hamlin days away from NFL season, otherwise known as Mark Mosley days away from NFL season. But on behalf of M Squared, who was back on the early edge, on behalf of Buckets, May Lee, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, and all of you in the chat. Thanks for being in here. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for participating in the chat. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the early edge. Happy Labor Day, folks. We rest our case.